So we're back, and this is the continuation of last week, last week, and just a little recap. Oh God, I had cheated on you.
Yes.
She had come over and she was going to get some photos taken for her own profile on a swingers site, and I was allowed to play with her some, but I crossed the line. That I knew I was not supposed to cross, but I lied about it at first because I was afraid of you leaving me for that. And when you did drag it out of me, I did fess up and confess. And
Mm-hmm.
then I thought I had worked through it by essentially getting really high and talking for a long time
To somebody else.
to somebody else, not to you. That's the problem. That's one of the main problems that we had at the time was there was no real communication between us. We thought we had communicated to each other. Well, I thought I communicated to you, and you were trying to communicate to me, but
You were not listening. So when we stepped back,
we stepped back.
We were not meeting anybody new, and we were focusing on ourselves and our kids.
Yeah, we have 4 now at that point.
Yep.
We now
had
have
our
4
fourth
kids.
child.
I was a stay-at-home dad now
Yeah.
for a whole year.
Yes, you were. I was still dealing, because we still didn't have a diagnosis for
Nope.
my allergies and what was going on. So I was still dealing with that. And on top of that, I was dealing with depression. I was very depressed right after our last child was born. Combination of pregnancy hormones and going into depression right before giving birth. Not a
No,
do not recommend.
on top of me cheating on you fairly recently beforehand, so it was a big 1-2 punch for you. And then, of course, at the time I didn't know. I'm learning now more how to recognize and understand how you feel and how things are going on. But at the time, I it was my fault, but I felt that it was all my fault, and I was getting internally angry with you. Oh, yes. Also, because of the attention I had gotten from someone else, my view towards women was not that they were women. I was really viewing women more as sex objects,
Right.
including you.
Yes, and you would still get very. We had arguments about the fact that my sex drive was not what you wanted it.
No, yeah, we did. We had many arguments. I mean, I remember specifically that there was times like I couldn't walk down the street without like seeing another woman and just thinking about sex, and it's so weird to me now because I feel like I've come a long way since then.
Yes.
In how I feel, but like it was an obsession with me. I was obsessed. And it disgusts me now how I was then.
Yeah. And we ended up about close to 4 years.
Close to 4 years, yeah.
Before we started playing again. And again, like thinking back on it, I can't remember how we came.
Yeah, don't look at me because a lot of this I blocked it out myself.
I can't remember how we came to the conclusion that we should try again. I do remember at that time that I was going to make the effort, at least on my part. One of the conclusions that I came to was that I could not let you make all the decisions. I couldn't meet somebody on your say so, that I had to have input. I had to know the people we were going to be meeting long before we met them.
Ironically, this is a good thing that came out of
Yes,
this.
this is a very good thing, and
Ironically, but this is where we're getting to some of the lowest points in our relationship
Right.
and in my life. It's the lowest point I've ever gotten to.
But I needed to be more vocal, because up until this point, you would find people.
Oh yeah, it was all me. I was finding people.
And
I
you'd
was
be like, "Hey, Sue,
this person's
we're-
good. Let's go.
we're gonna go meet these people now." And so I was meeting people and playing with them, like, all at the same time, which is very, very stressful for me.
I recognize that now. It's honestly, it's stressful for me too, which is one of the reasons why, like, now we don't play on the first date. Like,
No,
we're gonna
we absolutely-
we're gonna meet you first in some way beforehand. It's stressful for me. Some of it is my own stress, but also you getting stressed out stresses me out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna do that to either of us, or you know, especially not myself.
So-
but you do.
We took our time this time.
Thought we did.
But we did.
We did, yeah.
Like,
But
we took our time, and and we met a couple, and we talked to them for an extended period
We
of time. We did
did.
a number of virtual meets, and we really did put the effort in to.
we still weren't really adept at red flags yet.
We still were not as.
But that's normal. We were still. I'd still consider ourselves technically new at that point.
Yeah, even now, when people are like, "Oh wow, you've been in the lifestyle for so long," I don't.
You
I
guys
still
are
feel-
pros. Yeah, no,
No.
I still feel like we're making mistakes. We're still feeling our ways through this stuff.
Yeah.
We readjust and we find new things to.
Right, we're
to-
always gaining more information about ourselves.
That's
and other
important.
people,
That's
and
important to do.
It's incredibly important. But yeah, no, we did. We really, we talked to them for months
Months beforehand, and we had made a
beforehand.
plan
We had a number of virtual meets, but in this time that we were talking to them,
Mhm.
there were problems
There were problems.
that I was not voicing. So while I was making the effort to be more involved in the process of meeting people, I wasn't being vocal about issues that I felt were arising. And I was keeping them to myself, one of which being that you were ignoring me and focusing on the other woman from the couple that we were talking to.
Well, yeah, because the way I was feeling at the time, the way I was viewing things, partly due to the obsession I had with sex, like I actually got to a point where I thought I might be an addict in this field. I talked to that about you afterwards, but part of it was also like I felt this is how you did it. This is what you did. You know, you're supposed to flirt with the other person and stuff
and
like
she
that.
was
And she was
very flirty, far more flirty. I am not. If you are looking for the somebody to sext with, I am not your girl.
You don't sext with me. Like your sexting with me
Occasionally-
is like an occasion. It's surprising when I get
Every so often
Every so often it does happen, but
it could happen, but this is not a normal conversation for me.
no, it's
Like-
not.
I am not your girl. you want a sexy conversation? It's not gonna happen.
We had planned to meet them. We were going on vacation with the kids, and then we planned to meet them afterwards at a hotel. And while we were on vacation, like I assumed that you were talking to the other guy.
Which I was not, because he and I were very clear about what we felt boundaries were with regards to family life. And we both very much respected that when you're on vacation with your family, you might want to devote that time.
Well, come to find out, talking to him afterwards, he did not realize that she was contacting me as much as she was. Because she was constant.
It was
And one of the
nonstop.
things that
Throughout the entirety of like every day.
one of the things that about me is that if you text me, I have to respond. I can't not.
It's a problem.
I'm sorry. It's not something I can control. I can't not. Like, my body gets anxious if I don't respond.
I'm more confident. I'm calling you out on it now, though.
You are more confident calling me out on it now, which is I appreciate that. I really do. But at the time, like you said, it was nonstop. It was all day, every single day. And we were like 10 days on vacation with the kids. And just constant, like all day long. And it was just random shit. It wasn't even like sexual half of it. It was just random stuff.
Yeah.
All the time.
So it was a very frustrating vacation that.
It was. I mean, it was a great vacation with the kids.
But
We had a great time with the kids. But between us, there was lots of tension.
There was. It was very frustrating. And then so we got
back.
We got back and we met up with them. And again, and we're still talking to them, and we go and we meet, and
We met at a hotel.
we met for dinner,
We met for dinner.
and we sit down to dinner, and the husband goes to put his arm around me, and my whole body cringed and moved away from him, and I didn't say something.
No, you
And
did
I
not.
should have.
Yep.
And so that's definitely, moving forward from there, that's a big thing for us. I constantly remind myself that I am not obligated to play.
No, you're not. No one's obligated to play.
At no point. But people regularly find themselves in these situations.
They do.
And there's a part of you that feels obligated, especially with the amount of work that we put in to making this connection.
It was months.
It was months.
It was months of connection.
And then we sat down and my whole body moved away from him. And so that's a huge red flag. Like that,
I do know. Yeah, it's a big red flag.
And I should have said something.
I also didn't notice because I was not focusing on you. So what I do now is when we meet a couple in person for the first time, I'm still focused on you. Like I am focused on the other wife at the same time, but my main focus is on you. I'm watching you now to see what your reactions are, how things are going with you, to make sure everything's going how it should be going. I'm still, it's a divided attention, and it takes some practice to get to, but this is the practice that we were going through, and I failed at that. So we ended up going up to the room.
Yep, we went back to our hotel, and things started out well.
They did. They started off well.
Things were going well until they weren't.
And then they just went downhill from
and they
there.
just went, for me especially, things went down.
Well, it was a full swap situation, and again, now my attention is on the other woman, but I am checking in on you all the time, whether it's just a casual glance over, making sure everything's okay, taking a small break between oral and penetration, just everything's okay, we're doing good, that kind of stuff. I'm checking that stuff now, whereas at the time I just solely focused on her, and I was not really focused on you at all.
Right.
So I didn't see that there was issues going on over there.
Right. And we say issues and it makes it sound like it was so much more, but essentially at the end of the day, what it came down to is that the husband and I were not 100% compatible sexually. Friendship-wise, you
were more than 100%.
More than 100%.
He's a super cool guy. I still talk to him occasionally now. He's a super cool guy, but
sexually,
no, it's not
so much.
That's fine. It's fine to have friends, and fine to not the people you meet. It's fine to go, you know what? We match here for friendliness, but we're just not compatible sexually. Can we still be friends? Can we still have that
Right.
connection.
And in some cases, you definitely can.
Yeah.
We are friends with couples that we don't play with.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
it's great, like, because we can talk to them about everything.
Make fun of the weirdos that come up here. What? I mean, sometimes there's some crazy people that come out, and then it's just a matter of just going, hey, check out this one that might message me or something like that out of nowhere.
So things started to fall apart, at
Mhm.
least for me.
Yes.
You finished playing with the other wife,
I did. Yep.
and they left. And I kept it together until they left. And as soon as that door closed, I had a complete
You had a complete meltdown.
meltdown. And I could not figure out why. I did not know fully what was wrong, because we've had things go wrong with other attempts at meeting people or like hooking up with people, and I have been fine. I can roll with a lot.
Yeah, you can roll with the punches every once in a while, but
For whatever reason, how things like broke down this time.
well, I think it was just a combination of everything you were doing. We still had the allergy. We didn't know what was going on. You were going through your depression. We were not communicating at all very well. I was not focusing on you like I should have been focusing on you. And then we get into this situation not too long after, the vacation where I think you were very upset from the vacation. It was only like 2 weeks after the vacation.
It was
wasn't
very
that long.
close. No, it wasn't too
So it's
long
like it
after
was
the
very close to the vacation, and all that combined with you were not enjoying yourself like you felt you were supposed to be, because
It's not even.
that's not really the way.
It's not even that. Like, it's even still like, looking back on it, it's still hard for me to figure out exactly what set me off. But I knew things weren't working, and they wouldn't work if we tried again.
Mm-hmm.
That it was just it was a mismatch, and like you said, huge meltdown. I was still crying the next morning.
It was a very tense drive home.
I was not okay, and like we left very early in the morning to get home, and like as soon as we got home, they were contacting us
Again for another
to
meetup.
set up another day to play. And you are so bad sometimes at telling people no. And I'm like
I'm
literally
sorry.
I am right there. We are through the door, and I can hear you start to say, like, not definitively say it's not gonna work. Like you're trying to kind of put it off, like say maybe.
Well,
or
I'm a bit of a people pleaser, so I don't like being confrontational. I don't
Right.
like being confrontational.
and then so like
I've gotten a lot better at telling people no.
so now I lose it again.
Yes.
I'm like, you tell them no. You tell them absolutely not. It's not gonna happen. So like, but I can't tell you why, because I'm still trying to figure it out for myself. So you're just like, Sue says no. She doesn't want to meet up again.
I'm sorry. I kind of, the way you said no too, I was a bit like shocked. It was like I knew you were upset, but like it was almost an explosion that came out of you. And you were like, no. And I was okay.
Then the wife contacted me.
Yeah, privately.
To yell at me for my behavior.
Oh, yeah, and then you lost it. You fucking lost it.
So I may not be able to like look back fully to like understand why I was so upset, but I don't feel in the wrong for saying we were not well matched.
No, you're pretty spot on with that. So from there, we
I wanted to take another break.
You want to take another break? Yes.
I was not ready. We shouldn't be doing this. You did not want to step back.
No, because we had just started back up again, and that was, again, I was obsessed.
Yes.
It was a horrible thought process on my part.
You were pushing for an open marriage.
I thought that's, if you're not, maybe that's the way to go. We do that. I don't know.
And I spiraled from there. And I became self-destructive.
You did.
And
I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know how to handle that at all. I've never been in that situation with anyone. And from my point of view, it was sudden, but I know after talking it over with you, it was not sudden. I just didn't see any of the signs. Like, those signs were like those giant, they were like the signs for the south of the border that start in, Connecticut, saying south of the border is like 2,000 miles away. You're almost there. They're like those signs, and I just missed all of them on the way. I did not see any of those signs. So for me at the time, it was sudden, and I didn't know what to do. And
so you were actively looking for other women.
Which I'm terrible at.
And I sought out a guy that I knew would be bad. That I knew there nothing good.
Yes.
Would come of the situation.
Mm-hmm. And you found that guy.
It was very easy. It doesn't take a lot of work. And just continued to self-destruct.
Yeah, and you were
from there.
That's with him. I did kind of figure out that I enjoy watching you, but it was really bizarre because I would get these feelings of this is hot and I'm enjoying it, but I'm not going to say jealousy because it wasn't jealousy that I was feeling. It was something else. It was like a weird pain I was feeling. Like, I didn't recognize you as self-destructing. I didn't. But I don't know. It became, I didn't even enjoy it. So some part of me recognized it was bad. Like, things were bad going on. And I didn't process that at all. I had no idea how to process that. I've never felt like that. I'd never felt that before in my life. And you just continued, and I kept trying, and then he started contacting me.
Yes.
And he was contacting me, telling me stuff like how horrible I was, because you were talking to him about me. And he would tell me how horrible I was, and you should just leave me for him. He was telling me this stuff, sending it in texts. He would talk to me in person about this stuff. You know, how you're going to leave me for him and all that stuff. He would tell me this, and it hurt a lot. And instead of going to you and talking to you about this and really working through this with you and saying you need to stop, I did tell you need to stop, but it wasn't at that point. You were like a freight train of self-destruction.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what I'm going to get her to stop? I put up a roadblock. It's this nice wooden gate. I'm going to stick it right in front of this train. And that's it. That'll stop her. And it wasn't going to happen. It just was not happening. So I started going through depression. And I was like, well, fuck it, she's gonna do it. I tried to find someone as well, and I think I did find one person at one point. I did. And nothing even came of that. I met her once, and even then, I think I just complained about what was going on with you. So it was not exactly a very sexy
Very hot.
meetup, a very hot meetup. Who wants to meet up with the husband that's, hey, my life is spiraling out of control and I don't know how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's hot. Let's do this more. So we're going through this was not a long period of time either.
It was a couple months.
It was only a couple months. Like literally, this was only a couple of months this happened. It feels like a lot longer.
But it wasn't.
It was not that long. And that's when we got to the absolute lowest point of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that so clearly because you were sitting across from me in our kitchen at the time. And I was just sitting down, and you turned to me and you said, I want a divorce. That's it. Just flat out. And I remember telling you that you can't do this to me. Because I had started working on my anger issues, at least with the kids. Because I knew that throughout this, I was taking stuff out on them, and I didn't want to do that. So I started, and I distinctly remember telling you that I just started getting a relationship with the kids. Because I knew, flat out, even then, I knew if you divorced me, you were taking the kids. Like it was going to be you and the kids, and you were going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other thing I remember about that moment was my world numbed. And that's the closest I can think of to describe it. Everything numbed. Like my vision kind of blurred. I wasn't hearing anything around me. I didn't really see anything going on. I just remember getting up, walking into our bedroom, and I just sat down in the dark. And I cried for a long time. That's all I remember from that day. And I don't know what you did because you stayed in the kitchen at the table, as far as I know. But that started the worst period of my life. Because I think you were still self-destructing with the other guy. I don't think you had stopped at that point.
I was figuring that out. He thought...
No, I don't think you had stopped like seeing him at that point. I don't remember fully. Again, it's a lot of a blur at this point.
Right. No, I hadn't stopped fully, but I was...
I think you still occasionally went down and slept with it. I don't... My timeline
not
is
at that point.
My timeline is off. It's just very off at this point. But that started our... We had a separation in the house.
Yeah,
Like
no, we had a separation in the house.
You and I essentially, we stopped.
But that other relationship was ending as well.
Which one?
The toxic one. Because so when I decided to, like when we had that conversation, I was pulling away from both of you. Because for me, that's the safest thing I can do for myself is to just retreat away from everyone. It's the only way I can think clearly.
Yeah, but
So
see, prior to that, and this is also what kind of hurt me, is prior to that and before all this, when you needed safety, you were capable of coming to me, and
right,
you could retreat from yourself or retreat into yourself, but I was able to envelop you and I go, you're safe. I have you. Whatever you need to do to work through this, do it. I'll just stay here and just hold you.
right. But
And we couldn't do that because as soon as you said you wanted a divorce, we pulled away and we essentially went to separate corners of ourselves and the house. And I mean, I was working with you at the time.
mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
we had to take different cars because of
Schedules. We did not have the same
schedules
schedule.
and stuff like that. But even when we were at work, you wouldn't even talk to me.
No.
You wouldn't talk to me. You barely talked to me when we were home. Sleeping next to you was the worst because one of my favorite things in the world, one of the things that I can't do without, is you cuddling up next to me and me putting my arm around you, and you wouldn't even let me get near you. And this is, we're talking going into the winter months, which is a time where we really do cuddle a lot because I'm warm and you like to be warm.
And we have a drafty old house.
We have a drafty old house. So this is I couldn't, like, my body just couldn't fathom it. Like, I would scoot near you and you would scoot away on the bed. And that's when I started fighting for you. And by fighting for you, I mean I was doing everything wrong. I thought I was doing like this chivalrous, like, you have to love me because I love you. And no, that is not the way to go at all. And I couldn't. I was like, she doesn't love me. Why is she not loving me? I'm trying to help her. I'm giving her compliments all the time. I'm telling her how gorgeous and sexy and beautiful she is, and it was nothing. Nothing was getting through. Like, it was. You were like a wall.
I needed to be that wall for my own sanity.
I know that.
To figure out.
Well, I know that now, but I didn't know that. So I was like, I'll break through this, this wall she's got, and then she's gonna love me. She can't not love me. We have kids. We're married, and nope, nothing. And then I just stopped one day because I realized that I had to work on myself. The way I thought about it, the way it really came into my mind, honestly, was I got pissed. I got pissed at you. I got pissed at you, and I said, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna fix myself, and if she doesn't want me anymore, then so be it. I'll figure it out. I don't know how, but I will figure it out. And I mean, in my mind, I was going through like visitations with the kids and everything like that, because I'm sure you would probably move in with your mom, or I would be moving in with my parents, or one or the other. And then we had issues with the house.
Yes.
So we had issues with the house, and we ended up having to move into my parents' house. Now, my parents essentially have an apartment. They have a 2-bedroom apartment, and we had to move 6 people
into the
this
basement.
2-bedroom apartment. So the kids got one of the bedrooms. My parents had the other bedroom, and the only other place they could put me and you
Was in the
was
basement.
in the basement, which was my old bedroom at the time. So it was a finished basement. We're not we weren't in like a dungeon or anything like that. And that ended up being the best thing that's ever happened to us. Not that, trust me, at the time, it was not the best thing that ever
No.
happened to us.
But yeah, we were really forced to face
Each other.
each other and what was going on, and then and also at the same time, so like the guy that I had been seeing, like I had to block him.
Oh,
We
we had to block him
we
from
had both
everything.
had to
Phone
block
numbers,
him.
social media, like everything. He was insane. He was contacting you almost as much as that other wife that was contacting me on the vacation. Like, he was contacting you constantly.
Well, while he was seeing someone else,
Oh yeah,
which I had known, which made
0 sense.
yeah, absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. But yeah, he was anyway.
Anyway,
He was not in his right mind.
no, he was not. And so we were forced to be with each other, and
Right on top of each other.
it was tense for those first. We were there for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that first month was really kind of tense because we were forced to be together. But weirdly, we started bonding because of my crazy parents and the weird shit that they would do in their house. Like my dad getting up at like 2 a.m. to feed himself just because.
To randomly readjust the thermostat.
Yep.
Like your parents are like that stereotypical, who played with the thermostat? You did. It was all you.
It was all you. No one touched it. But we talked.
We did.
We had to talk. We had to start talking to each other, and we really worked through a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably the most like freeing, because I don't know, I didn't feel like I had to be someone else or I was putting on an act anymore.
Yeah.
I felt like I could honestly be open with you about everything. There's no reason. And I started clawing out of the depression I was in, and I could see you clawing out of it, and we really were starting to bond over the same weird shit we bonded over before, like
Mm-hmm.
stupid things that would happen, and we were cuddling up again, and it was slow. It wasn't fast either. Like we didn't have sex for a long time, and even first time was not like, yay, we had sex with each other. It was kind of a, pretty sure I cried. I think I did.
If you did, you didn't do it where I could see you.
I think I did. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. No sorries here. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
I'll be honest, if you had, I would have been like, okay, we're just gonna walk away, and you're gonna.
It was a lot. Like, growing up, I wasn't supposed to work through emotions, because growing up I was, expected to be the man, and men they don't have emotions, they don't have things to go through. So you were the first person that was really like, when I broke up with my first girlfriend, my family made fun of me. Like, that's how they worked through emotions.
Your family is unique.
They are unique. So they made fun of me for being upset. My mom's whole response was, just date multiple women. That's how you do it. I was like, oh, okay, I barely got this one. I'm just going to go
Right.
find multiple women.
As the opposite side of the coin, but like with my first relationship, when I told my mom that my best friend said she was going to steal my boyfriend, my mom's advice was to, well, tell your boyfriend and let him make his own decision. She was absolutely correct on that one.
Yeah, so This is one of the first times I've really had to work through a lot, and I worked through a lot. I was still on eggshells around you. Even when we were working through everything, I was still on eggshells around you because you had put out there divorce.
Mm-hmm.
You had put it out there as a serious possibility. So now I was doing my best to not win you back, but woo you
Mm-hmm.
and show you, hey, I can be sexy and awesome again. I promise. I'm gonna fix myself. I'm doing my best to fix myself, and it worked, and it really did come down to like not really doing it for you.
Yes.
I had to do it for myself. And do I mess up at times? I still mess up every once in a while. I don't mess up anymore as bad at all.
I am much better at communicating
Well, that being in that basement was when
reservations.
being in
I'm
that
not-
basement. Yeah, was when we
Communication
really
is still
said.
very hard for me.
But we said that we were like, we're in this basement. We're stuck here. We can't leave for 3 months because also at the same time we couldn't separate while living in my parents' basement.
No.
That would have been horrible for both of us.
Oh my gosh.
So that's actually what pushed us together, is because we knew we could not separate. We had to stay together.
We had to be a united front.
So we did, and I fell back in love with you. Like I realized how much of an idiot I was being and a jerk. And I mean, it wasn't right away. I didn't like magically overnight, hey, I'm a new person. I had to work through a whole lot of stuff. I had to change things about myself. I pulled it all back to almost like reboot completely. I started working out. I started spending more time with the kids and just being there with the kids. And I don't think I actively tried to be with you. I was just with you. You were there with me.
Yeah.
I wasn't like forcing myself to be with you. And that's really when we said we need to constantly make sure we're connecting and having these conversations with each other.
Yes. Yeah. And it was still a couple years after that before we finally figured out that it was the allergies.
Yeah, it was the allergies that was causing the issues with, your pain, your physical pain.
Yeah.
And
that was,
once we figured that out, that helped immensely.
Yeah, but it did. But there was stages to figuring that out, because it was another like 4 years. Like,
about 4 years, yeah.
From the time like we finally worked through things in your parents' basement to finally being in a place where we could safely get back into the lifestyle. But in that time,
so much stuff happened in that time. We got back into our house. You started figuring out your issues.
It was very slow going, and like it was because it was getting worse. Like it had been bad before, but it was getting debilitating.
Oh yeah, we but at the same time it was getting debilitating, but because I had started working on myself and because you were starting to communicate more with me, I was like, oh, it's not me. No. Okay. It actually is something physically wrong with, and then I started doing my best to care for you. So what is wrong? How can I help you? That kind of stuff, as opposed to like, you stupid woman, how dare you not want to have sex with me? Am I not sexy for you?
So, and it became a process of elimination. Well, is it this that's bothering me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, things are a little better if I remove this thing.
which was tampons. You stopped using tampons.
The first thing I removed was like some of the soaps that I was using.
Oh yeah, you said you stopped
And
removing the
then-
soaps, the vaginal soaps, which
And then I've never been a big user of tampons.
We use
Those
them
have
occasionally,
always
though.
well, yeah, for like swimming and things like that. But those have always been painful for me to use. So I'm
so those are not hard to get rid of.
so I was like, well, let's just get rid of those completely. And then I removed using disposable pads. I switched to completely like reusable products, and there was a level of pain that went away
There.
with that.
You still had the pain, so
And
process
then
of elimination.
it wasn't process of well, I mean, obviously process of elimination, but a certain amount of pain went away with that. And because I was removing these other things that were also hurting me, it was definitely after one of the nights we had sex, and the pain and the itchiness was immediately noticeable to me because I had removed so many other things that were also hurting me. Then my brain was like, hey, dumbass.
Hey, dumbass. I bet you.
If swallowing causes your throat to close up, it's probably not too good in your vagina either.
Surprise. Figured it out.
Figured it out.
And yeah, so that
Sex has become so much easier.
and now we do that. We bring our own condoms because you have a latex allergy.
Yep, because I have a latex
We bring
allergy.
our own condoms. If the other guy is safe due to STI tests and everything like that, or we've known them for a while, and we trust them, then they're not allowed to come in you, and they know that.
Yes.
They know that, and even new people, like, you're not allowed to come inside of her. You can come on her, but even then,
We have to wash it
We
off
have to wash it
very,
off.
very quickly, or else there will be a massive rash if it sits there for even a couple minutes.
And yeah, again, the communication was becoming great, and it wasn't just sex communication. We started communicating about everything. This is when we
Yes.
started really, parenting, money issues, work issues, dealing with, kids in school and stuff like that. All this stuff. We started communicating a lot on these things, and that helped everything. And it took about 4 years until we decided to go, let's try it again.
And then COVID happened.
And then COVID happened. And
Which is for myself, a slight boon because you did have to wait a little bit longer before you could meet people in person. You did have to put a little more
that's
effort.
when we decided that virtual meetings were really one of the ways to go, because where we live is a dead zone of of swinging and kink. It's a dead zone. There isn't really a lot of people around us, so a lot of people we were meeting were
or
like
anywhere to go.
Connecticut, like far away, a half hour, 45 minutes away. So because we don't drink, it's not. We don't go out to drinks. We're not going to go out and meet you for drinks. So if we're gonna meet someone, we're gonna meet them for like a dinner or something like that. But I'm still not going to drive 45 minutes to meet someone on a weeknight because I
No.
have to work. We have kids and stuff like that. So COVID happened. We're in lockdown. We had to meet the people through virtual meetings, and it's so fantastic because we can go. I don't care. You wear your PJs. Be comfortable. We're gonna go to bed after this. Like, we're meeting you now, and as soon as we're
Right.
done with this meeting, we're going to bed.
and it's
And you
really
have
good for me because I'm less anxious in my own space than I am going out into like even just a public location like a restaurant. The anxiety of going, which is even more now because my body just likes to find something new that it hates every year. So now I've have more food allergies than and everything. So going to a restaurant has always been anxiety inducing, and you add allergies on top of it, and it's just
But then
an extra little spice.
on top of that, we've found that by meeting someone virtually, it completely removes the expectation of sex that night.
Yes. 'Cause
So
you can't.
you can't. We're 40 minutes away from you. We are, you know, 30, 40 miles away, 50 miles away from you. We're not meeting up and then going to a hotel room, which we don't do anyway, and we don't want to do that. But we've I've found and we found that there are people who do this and they also assume this is what's going to happen. They assume that we're meeting up, and because we're meeting up tonight in person, we're going to go right to a hotel room, or we're going to go right to their place, or we're going to come back to our place, which we don't host anyway. Which, by going, this is virtual, we're just checking you out, seeing how you are. And we've also found that people are a lot more comfortable because now they're in their own space. They're in their own house. They're comfortable in their own space. They don't have to be something they're not. I just want people to be who they are.
Also makes it a little more obvious when people are lying.
Yes.
So we have caught out people that aren't being fully upfront with us.
We have.
So.
But we'll leave that for another
Yes.
episode. But this is the end of our trauma.
We made it through.
We made it through. We've worked through it a couple of times. We made it through. I do apologize if there's any other noises or background noise because we are currently at a work conference. So we're recording this in a hotel room as opposed to where we normally record. But from now on, we are going to be more upbeat, definitely a lot more upbeat. And we're just going to go through our experiences and what we've found, and hopefully we can give you guys some information and some advice to help you out. And again, we're not experts, but this is just where we come from and what we found has worked for us, and maybe it works for you. And
right? Or maybe it's something you can take and modify to fit.
Oh, absolutely. Modify it. Make it fit you. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. Do something else. Do what works for you. But again, we appreciate you guys listening and hope you come back for more.